Hi everybody, Cheri Sicard, aka Cannabis Cheri here, and I'm here today with a review of a terrific new book that cannabis lovers are going to want to check out, and that is Flying High with Gringo Billy. It's by Billy and Kay Deacle, a husband and wife team. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that for years I've been an advocate for prisoners who are serving life sentences for marijuana. Yes, that's right. There are prisoners in the United States that got life sentences for non-violent marijuana offenses, and Billy Deacle was one of them. A lot of them are out now. There's still a few left, though, so we're still doing this process of incarcerating people for egregiously long periods of time over cannabis. So there'll be a link below that you can check out how and why that actually happens, how somebody can get a life sentence for marijuana. But as I said, Billy Deacle was one of those prisoners that I used to advocate for. He gratefully got clemency a few years ago, and Billy was one of the very lucky prisoners because his wife, Kay, waited for him through decades of incarceration and held their family together. And through the years, Billy always told me how much Kay meant to him and how she was everything in his life. Well, the two of them got together and wrote this book, Flying High with Gringo Billy, as he was known in those days, a smuggler and his wife. And if you ever smoked weed in the old days, back before legalization, especially on the East Coast, chances are Billy might have had something to do with that, because prior to legalization, if you wanted to get weed, it had to be smuggled into the country. And Billy's story reads like an adventure novel. I mean, really, there are some hair-raising adventures that a marijuana smuggler has to go through. And Billy was an aviation buff, a pilot. He was flying plane loads of cannabis between South America and Florida. And it is high adventure to the max, so you're going to want to read this book. But what really makes it interesting, too, is it's not just Billy's perspective. And Billy is actually a really good writer. I've worked with a lot of prisoners with interesting stories to tell over the years, but none of them were able to write well enough to tell them. And Billy is the exception of that. It is a well-written book. He originally wrote these stories down while he was in prison, just to explain to his father what had happened. So he kept a diary, and that got turned into this book. And there's two more books on the way that further his career down the road. So this was the start of his smuggling career. But as I said, what's unique about this book is it's not just Billy. It is Kay's perspective, too. The wife that kept the home fires burning, the wife that really grappled with it. Billy and Kay's is a love story that has endured throughout the years and endured throughout his incarceration, but it certainly wasn't easy. And both of them bare their souls in this book and let you in on that. I don't know if I would have stayed with him like Kay did, but to each their own. The thought that kept going through my mind when reading this was the good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man song from country music, but theirs was much stronger than that. They endured all of it, and they came out on the other end. Kay was waiting for Billy after decades of incarceration, and they are together and living happily ever after now. So I hope I didn't give away the ending. But before they got to that point, boy, were their lives a roller coaster ride. And it is a roller coaster ride that illustrates kind of the history of cannabis prohibition and what you had to do to get cannabis in those pre-legalization days. So to me, people like Billy are heroes for doing that. Anyway, it's a really fascinating read that reads like a high-paced novel. I highly recommend it. Check it out. There'll be a link to the Amazon below where you can get it. Flying High with Gringo Billy, a smuggler and his wife. Highly recommended.